Of the Board of Trustees of the Harlingen Consolidated Independent School District held on this July 12, 2016, and it is 6:34. We do in fact have a quorum, and our the two gentlemen will be joining us momentarily. Thank you. No problem at all. Thank you. Would you join us, please, in a moment of silence? Thank you very much. And now our Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Shane Strubhart.
Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we seated.
Thank you very much. Item number 2 is a wonderful time for the board every month, special recognition and presentations. And Mr. Strubhart once again will lead us in that.
Thank you, Madam President, trustees, Dr. Cavazos, administration, and audience. It has been an eventful summer for early college high school junior Caitlin Renteria. She has been busy promoting her new spy thriller, The Other Side of the Law, which was released on June 13th of this year. Quickly rising to the top seller list for Sarah Book Publishing, the novel follows a high school sophomore named Kay Verdant with a unique set of skills who carries out dangerous missions to stop criminals in their tracks. Kay Verdant's story takes an unexpected turn when she finds herself with no choice but to trust a mysterious new ally as an underground tycoon rises to threaten one of the world's most precious cities. In this exploit, she learns that the line between herself and the other side of the law isn't always so clear. In addition to publishing her book, Caitlin has taken on the mission of promoting literacy and academics to local students. This spring, she visited the students at several schools in Harlingen and Los Fresnos to motivate them as they prepared to take the STAR test. She gave workshops and worked with students on their expository writing, organizing, and outlining skills. Caitlin is an outstanding student and a perfect example of an HCISD student pursuing their passion and reaching their highest hopes. Tonight, Caitlin is joined by her mother and father, Reynaldo and Patricia Renteria, as well as her little brother Ray and other family members. Madam President, Dr. Cavazos, would you please come forward to help us recognize Caitlin and her outstanding accomplishments and to receive an autographed copy of her book? Trustees, come get y'all. She has an autographed copy for y'all as well. Would you like to come down and take a photo and get your copy?
publish and everything and sell it. That's pretty neat.
Is that Paris or is that the Vegas one?
Yeah. I don't know, looks like the Eiffel Tower, small streets, right, Paris. You're gonna head to Las Vegas this week or?
No, I'm going to New Orleans.
That's right.
I leave tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna take off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday too. Just break away for a little bit.
Get any dinero? Well, I do, but are we going to get paid?
Have you set up a meeting with him?
Well, no, we just wanted to see if they're willing to stick the table. Now that they're saying they are. Now George Wayne, smack it over here. So I'll smack him. Smack him to take it on. They say, sexual, they want to get paid. I know, we're not doing it. And you know what? Give him the score, give him the house.
Over here, we're gonna take a group photo on the platform over here. With the board.
I think, you know, we have very good cases. I mean, we've done everything in court. What we need to do in case of anything we can follow us. And then an independent person. Before that, countless. Then you have an independent person.
Oh, all the money we spent. Yeah, all the extra, high energy bill, really nothing. The loans, you drive that 2 hours, we pay that. The architect wants more. He said, well, the first thing I just tell you is that one company is not taking money. They're saying they're not the contract because they're not taking it. Art, 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 let me see it real quick.
So am I.
Look at that.
Can I just exchange with someone's candy? Cause we don't want to. Hey, what happened to my candy?
You can have mine.
Take that, Bobby. Why are you so special?
No, that's-
No, please. I'm serious. I'm just giving you a hard time. But I'll be here having.
Trustees, Caitlin's gonna come up here. If y'all have any questions for her or comments, so she'll be here to answer them for you.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I've known this family for, wow, 30 years, Ray? Maybe more. And I didn't realize you had a talented author, and I think this is amazing at your age, and your dad was telling me you've been writing since you were 14.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just think that's incredible. I hope you will, it sounds like you're going to pursue this further.
Yes, absolutely.
And, I mean, I can just see you on the New York Times bestseller list one of these days. I really can. And you're just so lucky. You have a wonderful family.
Oh, absolutely.
Your mom and dad, and I don't know if many people here know it, but the Renteria family, if you go to down to UT Brownsville or Southmost, or you go to the island, to the Radisson, and some of these places, those beautiful 30-foot sago palms and sables and Washingtonians, they planted almost every one of them. And they are the experts in trees. I mean, there's nobody in the valley that knew more about trees and horticulture than the Renteria family. And you've got a great heritage, and I'm so excited about this book. I can't wait to start reading it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Other members?
Yeah,
Eladio?
Madam President, as a writer myself, when I first heard about that you had written a book, somebody reached out to me. I don't know if it was one of your family members, and they knew that I had worked at the newspaper. I was very intrigued and looking forward to reading it. Like Mr. Power said, I look forward to reading it. I have a confession to make. As a writer, any journalist will tell you that they dream of publishing a book one time, and I do have notebooks and notebooks of notes and just potential books that I have sitting in my house. And for you to as a junior in high school to publish your book, I'll be honest with you, it's very inspiring, and you've inspired me, and I just want to congratulate you and your family for your accomplishment. And I look forward to your second book.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Very impressed as I'm reading the back of the book, and wow, top 10% National Honor Society. But what really catches my eye is this little part that probably everybody else would miss: mastering card tricks.
Yes.
You like magic tricks?
Yes, very much.
We gotta talk one of these days.
Yes.
I love it. I can't wait for you to show me some stuff.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Other board members?
Madam President?
Yes.
I just have to, I thought about the term self-actualization, for somebody like you're I think a extraordinary person for at your age to be doing what you're doing. Not a lot of people actually take the steps to kind of do these kind of things. And one of the things I think about is, as I'm talking to folks in higher ed, is one of the common things they see in college-going students nowadays is that the spoken and especially the written language is really falling by it's just really kind of getting worse and worse. And so for you to be and I think Mr. De Leon mentioned your penmanship, and so even her penmanship is extraordinary. And so just keep doing what you're doing, but look up the term self-actualization. It's a theory by Maslow, and because it comes to mind, think about you to always reaching to self-fulfillment and reaching your potential and just doing things. I mean, you don't wait to get told. You just do it because it feels right to you, and you want to do it. So I applaud you on your grit and on your tenacity and on being who you are. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I just want to add what all my fellow colleagues said, and say because of your age and you're 16?
Yes.
You're 16, but you're not competing with 16-year-olds. You're competing with individuals that are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. Like Eladio was saying, a lot of people aspire to write, aspire to do books, but they don't. And that's the difference between them and you. You've done it. You have it. I overheard you telling someone that there's a part 2
Yes.
or a sequel to it.
Yes.
We expect a sequel from it as well. But that just says that you're not stopping just with one book and going through the accolades and telling everybody, look at a book I wrote. You're thinking way ahead. You're thinking of tomorrow. You're looking at the second part. And I can tell you, after you do the sequel, you're probably looking at a whole different series of type of books that you want to look at. So congratulations. The family, you couldn't do it without your family. Your little brother over there, I'm sure he's
Yeah.
going to be aspired to be something great too. So
Yes.
congratulations, you have a fantastic family.
Yes.
Mr. McShane?
I just want to say, congratulations, and this has really special meaning, in particular when you look at the power of education, and I look at the families here, and I'm reminded of when I look at the history of particularly public education and how far we've come. I think the most important thing here is that we need to tell a story. Tell a story to the public, to families, what can really happen, because I think there's something we can learn from. Certainly you're brilliant early on, but for your family to support you and see others say that, what happened here? How did it happen? Ask those questions, and obviously answers in the question, if we answer that question. So I'm so proud of the families, so proud of you, and I can hopefully one day say, I remember
I remember Caitlin, you know. I'll be in a rocking chair someplace, right? But really, the
First edition.
yes. So keep this up.
That's awesome.
We can't make you a secret agent. I think that by going to Jefferson, by the way, Jefferson did very well on their STAR test, and so did Long.
Yeah.
You probably had something to do with that. So we're so proud of you. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you so much.
If I can just
Yes, sir.
do one more thing.
Yes.
You don't just represent Early College High School, but you represent all of Harlingen. And because of that, I'm gonna give you this,
There you go.
Oh, my goodness.
so that the next time you're anywhere, you can show that you represent all Harlingen schools.
You're a part of us.
That's awesome.
You're a part of us. Thank you, Eladio. Well, with just one moment, please, sweetheart. I think the superintendent would also like to address you.
So Caitlin, congratulations. We're super proud of you. You have set a high standard of what kids can do in our district. You are a role model for a lot of students. You follow your passion, and that's important. Such a young age and accomplishing so much. We thank you for representing yourself so well and representing our school district. To the Renteria family, thank you for sharing your daughter with us. I think that the sky's the limit for Caitlin, and I look forward to the great things you're gonna do in your life. And so keep going on. You're gonna do great things. Thank you for what you do.
Congratulations. We're
Thank
so
you.
proud of you. Congratulations. And thank you for our books. That was very generous. Thank you so much. You see why it's a favorite time in the, always a very, very favorite time in the agenda of the board meetings. How special for us. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you. Our Renaissance woman right here among us.
That's right.
Thank you so much. At this time, we will move to agenda item number 3, approval of minutes. June 14th, 2016, public hearing. June 14th, 2016, regular board meeting. June 20th, 2016, special board meeting. June 22nd, 2015, board workshop. July 5th, 2016, special board meeting and budget workshop.
Madam President, I think we have to approve them individually,
do-
correct?
go back and
I
start.
would make a motion to approve the June 14, 2016, the minutes of the June 14, 2016 public hearing.
Thank you. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify so by saying aye. Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Muniz seconded. And in regard to June 14th, do I hear a
I move that
motion?
we approve the June 14th minutes as submitted.
Thank you, Greg. Do we have a second? And seconded by
I
Dr.
second.
By Eladio? Okay, Eladio Jaimes. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. June 20th, 2016, special board meeting. Do I hear a
Madam
motion?
President, make a motion to approve the June 20th special board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. Is there a second?
Second.
And George McShann, thank you very much. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify so by saying aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. June 22nd, 2015, board workshop.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the June 22nd board workshop.
Thank you, Dr. Muniz, and seconded by Mr. Powers. Thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries. And finally, July 5th, 2016, our special board meeting and budget workshop.
I move approval of special board workshop, meeting budget workshop.
Thank you, Mr. Minchin.
2016.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Muniz. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries. We'll move now to the approval of the consent calendar. I would like consideration, please, to move 4, F, G, H, and I out of the consent agenda so that we can just get a little bit of background about the program.
Madam President, I move approval of the consent calendar with exception of F, G, H, and I, which we'll take on separately. Move approval of the other items as presented.
Second.
Second. All right, any discussion? All right, thank you very much. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposition? Motion carries. All right, at this time, we will move to agenda item 4F. And the purpose of asking for this is just that these are contracts and we're familiar with them on an annual basis, but just to understand just a little bit more about what the background is of the services that we provide. Dr. Yola, if you would handle that for us, please. And we do need to vote on each one of these specifically simply because we pulled them out of the consent agenda. Thank you. Dr. Noyola?
Madam
F?
President, item 4F
Yes, please.
is an MOU with between Harlingen CISD and the Cameron County Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program. This is a routine MOU that we have been bringing forward for a number of years. So to your request about background, prior to 97, 98, students that were expelled from school districts were in essence expelled to the streets per se because there was no educational programs available to them. So Texas Education Code at that time required that counties that had more than 125,000 population needed to create some type of juvenile justice alternative education program for students that were expelled from the school districts. And so that is where JJEP came to be. It is found in Harlingen, or I should say between San Benito and Harlingen, next to the Darrell Hester Center. So we have a number of students that if and when they're expelled, that is the location that they're expelled to. So at this time, we are recommending approval of the Memorandum of Understanding with Cameron County Juvenile Justice Department.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions about the background?
I move for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Parrish. Seconded by Mr. De Leon. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposition? Motion carries. All right, thank you. And that would be then 4G, please. Approval of memorandum of understanding with Harlingen CISD and Cameron County Juvenile Probation. Dr. Noyola?
Yes, ma'am. This MOU provides probation officers at each of our high schools in Kano Academy who provide supervision of any students that we have who are currently under probation. Their probation officers monitor their attendance, academics, behavior, and so forth to ensure that they're in compliance with the guidelines set forth through their probation documents. So at this time, we recommend approval of item 4G.
Are there any questions? I have just one. This is in addition to our high school security guards.
Correct.
The partnership with the
Correct.
police. Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I move approval.
Thank you, Mr. McShann. Second, Dr. Pettis, thank you. Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries, thank you. Dr. Noyola, please, 4H, memorandum of understanding between our school district and Tropical Texas Behavioral Health.
Yes, ma'am. 3 years ago, we began this process of this MOU with Tropical Texas Behavioral Health Center. They provide personnel to work with our campuses in addressing students that are having behavioral issues. In our district, we have students that have behavioral issues that are serviced through special education, but this service provides it for students that are in general education that are experiencing behavioral issues. And so at this time, they are working with 8 of our elementaries and 2 of our high schools. It's been a tremendous partnership, and we've received a lot of very positive feedback from our campuses as they address their students who are having behavioral issues that are impacting their education. Therefore, we move approval of item 4H.
Are there any questions?
The 8 schools, is there
The reason why?
a reason why those 8?
Yes, sir. So one of the things that we did, because obviously they didn't have enough personnel certainly to service all of our campuses. So what we did is we looked at the amount of need at each of those campuses. They have a number of students that they already service at their facility. And so when we looked at how many students they were servicing at their facility, we found where the concentration of pockets were. And so based on that is how we identified which campuses would be serviced.
All right, thank you.
That's a good question. Any other questions?
Madam
Yeah.
President, I make a motion for approval of the memorandum of understanding for the HCISD Tropical Text Behaviors Health for the years 2016, 2017.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. Is there a second?
Second.
George McShann, thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Are there any further questions? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you. And 4I is a memorandum of understanding between the district and Behavioral Health Solutions for South Texas. Once again, Dr. Noyola, please.
Yes, Madam President, item 4I is a partnership that we have had with Behavioral Health Solutions of South Texas, which is actually a nonprofit organization, and their focus is on prevention efforts with regards to alcohol, tobacco, and substance abuse. They provide services to campuses as requested. A lot of it is educational programs for students so that they understand the risks and so forth. So at this time, they work closely with Keys Academy. They work with our students on an as-need basis and upon request by a campus. So, due to success we have been seeing, we are requesting approval of memorandum of understanding with Behavioral Health Solutions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? I have one.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
understanding this is individual counseling?
They do more educational efforts, but they do provide outreach in case referrals and things of that nature. If there's a
Okay.
student in their family that would like further support, then they are able to contact Behavioral Health Solutions for additional support in that area.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions?
You
Elijah?
mentioned Keys Academy. Is that the only school where they?
Right now, that is the campus that they have worked primarily with. The principal there has requested quite a bit of they do a lot of sessions with kids, orientation, just a lot of background information for kids. Not necessarily that there are issues, but that's just a piece that the principal has requested more for students to hear more about.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Pleasure of the board?
I move approval of memorandum of understanding, HCISD Behavioral Health Solutions of South Texas for 2016-17 school year.
Thank you, Mr. McShann.
A
Is there a
second.
second?
Second.
Eladio, the Jaimes, thank you very much. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you very much. I appreciate the consideration. Thank you. At this time, agenda item number 5 is for public comments. Are there any, Mrs. Brown? Okay, there being no public comments, we move to agenda item number 6. Consider endorsement of TASB Board of Directors for Region 1 Educational Service Center. Do you have? I don't have anything.
They're not voting this time, they're just endorsing the candidate from Region 1. The applicant, I have a list here.
We do it by motion? Do it by motion?
Yeah. Right.
Is there somebody
The
to-
whole
Yeah,
Is there somebody
well,
to choose
Yeah.
from, or is
But
it?
yes,
Excuse us,
there are-
audience. Some
there
things
are-
we do by
there are
writing
four
writing
members, I
something.
think, four,
Mhm.
yeah, Madam
Please do,
President.
sir. Mhm.
I give my proxy vote to George.
Okay. We have 5 board members from Region 1 who are candidates for the TASB Region 1 Position B Director, replacing Maria Leal, who is at South Texas ISD. She is termed out. I think she's been there 12 years or so. And the candidates here, I happen to know a lot about these because the work I do with school boards. From Cameron County, we have Point Isabel board member Mickey Foucan. We have Yolanda Cuellar, who is a South Texas ISD board member, but South Texas ISD has like 21 board members or more, maybe 24. And they cover all the counties. We have Esperanza Ochoa from La Jolla. We have Jason Pena from Edcouch Elsa, and Ricardo Ramirez from Zapata County. Right now, Gloria Casas from La Feria is TASB director from Cameron County. I think it'd be wise to reach out to Hidalgo County. La Jolla ISD has 30,000 students and represent that area of probably Mission, Sharyland, and closer to Laredo. And I happen to work with this board member. I know all of them. And she's a 9-year board member, past president of the La Jolla ISD board. And I think Ms. Ochoa, she called me today expressing desire to serve. And Dr. Ala Benavides, superintendent of schools there, we know very well. And Dr. Benavides was a finalist for Superintendent of the Year for Region 1. And La Jolla was a Board of the Year, I think, last year. So I think Esperanza Ochoa would be a representative of Region 1.
Second the motion.
Is that
Yes.
in the form of motion?
Is that for an endorsement, right? We have
For
to-
endorsement.
Right, yes.
Second,
Yeah.
a second
Yeah,
motion.
second motion. Are there any questions or discussion?
I think just to clarify, because you went through names, so you want to just clarify who that individual that we are.
I'm recommending Esperanza Ochoa.
Okay, and those the second.
Yes.
Okay, any further questions? Thank you very much for the information, Mr. McShann. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, Thank you very much. The motion carries. Agenda item number 7, matters relating to curriculum and instruction. 7A, approval of the Texas Education Agency state-approved innovative courses for 2016-17. Dr. Alicia Noyola, please.
Madam President, Dr. Cavazos, board members, senior team, and audience, what we bring before you tonight is a list of innovative courses that have been approved by the Texas Education Agency. The courses listed before you are the courses that we have offered in the past. There is one new course that we are bringing forward, and that is the Sports Medicine 2 class. As you know, we offer sports medicine at our School of Health Professions. Last year was the first year we offered sports medicine. Our students are moving on to Sports Medicine 2. At this time, we recommend approval of the innovative courses brought before you tonight.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Thank you very much. Agenda item 7B, approval to submit to the Texas Education Agency an application for the optional flexible school day program for the 2016-2017 school year.
Dr. Noel.
Dr. Noyola, are you presenting for Dr. Cavazos?
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. The application that you have before you is to the Texas Education Agency, where we request approval for our application for optional flexible school day program, which allows us to offer extended time to our students as they pursue whatever they may be. Most of our students are students that are pursuing their degree who are not able to finish at a certain time. It gives us an opportunity. The optional the optional flexible piece is that we're able to offer night courses and things of that nature for our students. So at this time, we recommend approval of the application that we would like to submit to the Texas Education Agency.
Thank
Move
you.
approval of the Texas DEA and application for the optional flexible school day program for the 2016-2017 school year as presented.
Thank you, Dr.
Second.
Pettis. Seconded by Mr. Hines. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
I just want to say that this is a very good program. As you know, we, in September, we do the Success Walk, and a lot of our students, some of those students, they really participate in that flexible school day program. So it's a very good program, and as a result of that, our students are able to, graduate and get their diplomas.
Madam President, I just also want to echo what Mr. McShann is saying, is if we can help one individual, and that's one individual that is worth saving.
That's right.
Any other comments? We shall proceed to vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Agenda item 8, matters relating to transformation and school support. Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee report. Dr. Cavazos, please.
Yes, Madam President, board members, audience, administrative staff, on July 5th, 2016, at 5 o'clock, we had a Transforming the Teaching and Learning Committee meeting, the chairperson, of course, being Dr. Nolan Perez. The item on the agenda was to discuss maximizing teaching and learning. During that conversation, Mrs. Corton, our Administrator for Organizational Development, brought forth recommendations to enhance our teacher perfect attendance program. And so in that conversation, she shared with the board the work of our Teachers of the Year committee that got involved in really studying and doing a deep dive in our perfect attendance program for teachers. And so we know that it is critical to have the teachers in the classroom in front of kids every single day. And so as we studied our investment that we have done over the years, we kind of looked at, okay, how do we enhance this? How do we ensure that we're maximizing the teaching and learning time with the teachers in the classroom? And so some of the recommendations that came forward included to do more frequent payouts of the incentive program. There is going to be a recommendation later on in the board item where we're recommending that the amount of money invested in the teacher perfect attendance program go from a $600 stipend to a $1,000 stipend to be paid out on a set dates every quarter on a separate check that will be given out at faculty meetings, and will publicly recognize those teachers that have perfect attendance for that quarter, so they will be able to earn it every quarter or on specific set dates. In addition to that, We are recommending that we lift the cap on the number of local leave days that teachers can accumulate and move from 30 to 60. And so those teachers that have perfect attendance for the entire year will have the option of banking their 5 local days to the 30 cap or wherever they are at the point, or asking the district to pay, buy back those 5 days for an additional $100 per day. And so we're going to be recommending that we lift the caps for the teachers' perfect attendance, allowing them to accumulate up to 60 days, using the same rules that we have to apply on when they retire. They can sell it back at $100 a day. With this new initiative, they're able to sell back those 5 days at the end of the school year if they want and do not want to accumulate it. And so for a teacher in the classroom, the perfect attendance incentive program would go from a $600 stipend to a $1,000 stipend with frequent payments, and with an option to sell back up to 5 local days at $100, which would be a combined amount of a stipend of $1,500 for those teachers that get perfect attendance for the entire year. They have that option, or to bank the 5 days. With that, we have also recommended to the board that they consider this new structure for teachers that qualify for the perfect attendance, that will be reviewed on an annual basis, and we would bring a report to the board on an annual basis to determine whether the success of the program and whether we're moving the needle to maximizing teaching and learning. We had only one item because it was a very interesting item, a lot of work, and it was in development for about 6 to 7 months before the committee was ready to bring it forward for consideration. It is listed as an agenda item later on the agenda tonight for your consideration. We discussed the fact that getting the Teachers of the Year involved in this project to really dig deep into this initiative and see how we can improve and ensure that we're maximizing teaching and learning in the classroom and really study the teacher perfect attendance incentive. All that being said, if you all consider approval tonight, the incentive would go from $600 to a potential $1,500 at the end of the year for those that get a perfect attendance for the year.
Thank you, Dr. Cavazos. Dr. Pettis, would you like to comment?
Sure. Well, you know, remembering back now when I first got on the board, and my honorable colleague to my left, Mr. Powers, that was a physical reference, not a political reference. You know, one of the things we would harp on so much, especially Mr. Powers, was, you know, what can we do as a district to continue to increase the quality of human capital, get better and better teachers year by year. And I think everybody will agree, and including you, Greg, that the things that you've done, Dr. Cavazos, over these years have just really increased, you know, the trajectory of just the quality in our human capital and our teachers. And I think this example of this innovative idea is just another example of that, because I think it really enhances the benefits and the support that we give to our teachers. And this one just so happens to actually directly impact the students as well, because it keeps our own teachers, our talented teachers, in the classroom more and minimizes use of substitutes. And so I think, again, great idea, great concept. I think it's money well spent. So I applaud you for your efforts and your continued efforts to just provide better and better support and to encourage innovation and what the teachers are doing in the classroom. So anyway, kudos to you and your staff.
So, Madam President, just one other detail, and it'll come up when Mr. Cavazos presents that item. But this has minimal impact on the budget. We are actually reallocating monies set aside in our substitute budget and moving it to the teacher perfect attendance incentive, which will have minimal impact overall. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a great meeting and good report. Thank you very much. And we appreciate all the work that was done by the committee and the committee's leader, who's sitting here in the audience tonight. Thank you all so much. At this time, we move to agenda item number 9. Number 9A is the adoption of the Teacher Perfect Attendance Incentive Program. And Mr. Cavazos, I believe you're going to be addressing that for
I'd
us.
like for him to summarize it completely, like just kidding.
Thank you, Dr. Cavazos, board members, and as Dr. Cavazos said, he summarized it pretty well, and I had my things to talk to, a list to talk about. But again, we're currently paying, our teachers $300 a semester if they have perfect attendance for each semester at their school. We're revising that to $250 a quarter with an additional $500 at the end of the year if they have perfect attendance throughout the year. So a teacher can choose to bank the 5 days in their sick leave bank instead of getting the $500 at the end of the year. That's a choice that they're going to make at the end of the year. So a teacher has the potential to earn up to an additional $1,500 a year besides their regular salary if they have perfect attendance throughout the year. Again, since we as Dr. Cavazos mentioned, we're using our substitute budget to offset the cost of the attendance incentives. So it's a minimal impact to our budget. We feel that we can absorb the additional cost, if any, with our current budget. Again, we've been looking to restructure this incentive for several years, and as Dr. Cavazos mentioned, there has been a committee that has been working on this for the past 6 or 7 months. Again, we discussed this in detail at a budget workshop. Be glad to answer any other questions that the board might have.
Madam President, I move for adoption of the Teacher Perfect Attendance Incentive Program as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Powers. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments, Mr. McShane?
Yes, I like to say that this innovative concept really is not so much about money, but about giving a teacher a chance to, a second chance, a third chance to have perfect attendance. So as things happen, you may be ill, there may be something catastrophic happen in the family, and under the old system, if that happens, well, you're out. So oftentimes teachers say, well, I won't be able to do the perfect attendance, so I might as well take my days. I mean, that can happen, right? But here, this will inspire teachers to say that I have an opportunity. I can't do it this quarter, but I'll do it next quarter. And the fact that it's really a motivational piece that it's not the money, but if you appreciate it as a teacher, and teachers, we know, have the most responsibility because they deal directly with children, to say that, the administration, the school board really appreciate what I do as a teacher. The principal appreciate what we do as a teacher. So I think I really believe that we're going to see better attendance, not so much because of the money, but because that this is something they want to do. And as you get toward the end of toward retirement, you'd like to have those 60 days to buy back. That's a nice little $6,000, bonus you have, can take a nice cruise or something, whatever you want to do, right? That's nice. But I just want to say that involving also, I think the grassroots, the Teachers of the Year, I'm sure they provided a lot of input, and doing that, I think in itself said that we can do some things better. So thank you, Dr. Cavazos, and your leadership team for this.
Thank you, Mr. McShane. Any further comments or questions? If not, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor of adopting the Teacher Perfect Attendance Incentive Program as presented, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries then, thank you. 9B, consideration and approval of cost of living increases for 2016-2017. Again, Mr. Julio Cavazos, our money man.
Thank you, Ms. Floria, Dr. Cavazos, board members. Agenda item 9B is consideration and approval of cost of living increase for 2016-2017 school year. We did discuss this at our budget workshop in detail. Administration is recommending a $1,300 increase for teachers, a 2.5% increase from the midpoint for administrators, and a 3.25% increase for hourly employees from their midpoint as well. A new teacher hiring schedule is attached for your review. Starting pay for new teachers will be $46,000. Again, we discussed this in detail at the budget workshop. Be glad to answer any questions the board might have.
Can you repeat those numbers one more time? I'm sorry.
Sure.
It was 1,300, 2.5%, and 3.25%?
Correct, 3.25%. We were able to put an additional 0.25% for the hourly staff after our budget workshop discussions that we had at the budget workshop.
Thank you.
Mr. President, it's my honor to move approval of the cost of living increases for 2016-2017 school year.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McShann and Mr. De Leon. Are there any further questions or comments?
Just wanted to applaud Mr. McShann for putting a little nudge in for the hourly, and I think they were able to come up with a little bit, and hopefully we can continue that trend in subsequent years in terms of trying to give a little bit more for our hourly wages. Doesn't cost a heck of a lot, but it means a lot to them. And so, Mr. McShann, thank you for pushing the issue and so for that.
All right, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Agenda item 9C, consider approval to extend the contract for the financial auditing services. Again, Mr. Julio Cavazos.
Thank you, Ms. Fleury, Dr. Cavazos, board member. Agenda item 9C is consider approving the approval to extend the contract for financial audit services. We're recommending to extend the contract to Long Chilton for the audit services. They do a professional job and report timely to the board. We recommend approval from the board. We did bid this out last year, and they were awarded the bid, subject to renewal on an annual basis for the next 5 years.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion for approval of extending the contract for financial auditing services.
Thank you, Dr. Muniz. Do we have a second? Seconded by Mr. Hamish. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or discussion? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Agenda item 9D, consideration of approval of procurement method for small district-wide projects utilizing the job order contract process by use of interlocal agreement. And that will be presented by Tony Gracia.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Madam President, board members, Dr. Cavazos, staff. Construction law is governed by Government Code 2269, and basically 2269 states that if you use any construction procurement method other than competitive bids, it must have board approval. The board must approve the process other than competitive bidding. We brought to you all before a competitive sealed proposal process, which we use for large construction projects. We have numerous projects throughout the district, paving, painting, awning work, several projects throughout the district that our maintenance staff does not have the time, given the fact that a lot of these projects are carried out in a very constrained time during the summer. We need to utilize additional construction services. We feel that this process, which we've used in the past, is very beneficial to the district. It affords us an opportunity to bring about these projects to completion on a more timely basis, rather than going through the competitive bid process that normally takes 6 to 8 weeks. The staff does evaluate quotes from various construction providers or job order contractors. These job order contractors are solicited from the district through purchasing cooperatives. 44031, which regulates the purchasing methods for procuring materials and services, does allow for interlocal contracts to be utilized. So we would utilize local purchasing cooperatives, which the board has previously approved through interlocal agreements and resolutions of the board. And we feel that this is a more effective method of getting these projects done throughout the district. So we bring this item for your approval tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yes. What is the dollar amount for these contracts? Is it the $25,000 rule in place, or $50,000?
Well, basically, in 2269, it basically says that the board will approve any job order contract of $100,000 or more. These are small projects. Like, for instance, right now we have 3 projects that we've kind of combined together, and we've solicited quotes from 2 job order contractors, or better known as JOCs, and they're paving contracts. One of them is 25, the other one's 13, and the other one's a little bit more substantial. One of them brought in a bid of $90,000. The other one brought in a bid of $58,000. We happen to have a very advantageous situation in the fact that we have Mr. Tapia's office has hired a construction manager who is responsible for coordinating the effort of procuring these quotes, has, through our draftsmen, detailed the work. And so these contractors then have very specific instructions of what is expected in their bid. So basically, you could say that this is a $55,000 project comprised of 3 small projects.
Right, but the $100,000 is a threshold.
The $100,000 is
Right,
the threshold.
That's,
Yeah, that's correct. Our intent is to do job order contracts for any construction cost that is less than $100,000.
okay, that's the piece that we wanted to make
Right, and we
sure.
will still bring that to the board if it's over $50,000 per project, so, but for any construction contract that is less than $100,000, we would like to use this method.
Okay, very well. And Mr. Tapia, how do you feel about that?
Yes, definitely. We've been working with Mr. Gracia to see if we can utilize this.
Yes.
It hasn't been too often that we have a whole bunch of small projects,
Sure.
but the nature of the TRE has
Sure.
several little projects that it's just, to bid it out, you have to get drawings and
understand.
architects. And
Yes.
For a little project, it's just not worth it. It's better working directly with a contractor, and
Okay.
it fast tracks the projects.
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
maybe I'm a little confused, Mr. Cavazos, maybe you can help me out. We had changed the board policy, and maybe this is something that's different, that anything over $25,000, it needs board approval. Is that correct?
$50,000.
50.
It was
yeah,
50,000.
Yes, 50, yeah.
Okay.
It used to be 25 several
Used to
years
be
ago.
25.
Yeah.
It's
But
up to 50 now.
$25,000 policy applies to change orders to a contract. When Mr. Tapia brings it to the board, any change order to an existing construction contract in excess of $25,000 or more needs board approval, and that is the wishes of the board.
Okay.
I was going to ask, what is the relationship then to Mr. De Leon's question about the money amounts? Is there a relationship?
There used to be a $25,000 threshold about 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
It changed to $50,000.
That's right.
Does this change it to 100,000? I believe is his question. Is that
No,
correct, Mr.
no,
De Leon?
No, the $100,000 is just a threshold that we have for a job order contract.
We'll still approve it.
Yes.
If it's over 50, we have to approve it.
Mhm.
But it's the procurement method of how do they hire the contractor or whatever. basically.
Exactly.
And it expedites it.
Yeah.
They don't have to do all these bids and all, I mean, it's just.
Right.
Yeah, and my question wasn't so much the sequence process. My question was more of, what was the amount? I mean, to get to it, it was, I mean, for me, I wasn't really worried about
Yeah.
that. I was remembering that anything over $25,000, I
Yes.
needed to go to the board, but
Yeah.
5 years ago, it changed to 50.
Right, correct.
I was out that day, I guess, 5 years ago. I don't remember that, but
Oh,
that's
it's a
good to
good
know.
question.
It's
Mr.
been a
Daly.
while, it's probably about 4 or 5 years now.
Right, and what, this specific, you pointed out earlier, Mr. Gracia.
Thank you.
The number you pointed to, the job order contract process, this applies specifically for, what could be maintenance, construction, things you have to do with infrastructure. Now, you have other things, say for an example, if you're gonna do a contract with something that's more than $50,000, let's say for staff development or something like this, or buy computers or something like this, that's not under this, you bring it to the board.
That is correct. I mean, this
Right.
is again strictly for construction projects.
Sure. Well, I understand, we just want to make sure we were clear on that. Okay.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I move approval.
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Powers, seconded by Mr. De Leon. Are there any further questions? I just have one. Mr. Gracia, how many years have you been doing this?
25.
25. I thought we were getting up there past 20.
Maybe that was a 25-year computer.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of the motion to approve, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thanks, Tony and Julio. Thank you. And Oscar. Agenda item number 9E, and you will notice that we have a paper to that effect here beside us. That is a consideration and award of student athletic, UIL activities, catastrophic, and student voluntary accident coverage for 2016-2017 school year, RFP number STIN 0616. Presenter again, Mr. Tony Gracia.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, board members, Dr. Cavazos. This is an area, of course, that there's a lot of consideration that the board has given to administration to pursue. And of course, this is an accident coverage for our athletes, and not just necessarily UIL, but certain functions that are sponsored by the district that are not necessarily UIL, including ROTC, including FHA, cheerleaders. They're not necessarily covered by UL regulations, but this coverage encompasses all participation by students in these type of activities sponsored by the district. We feel, and the board has conveyed this to the administration, we want to encourage as much participation as possible, and somewhat relieving the parents of that financial obligation to have to support their students. As we well understand, there are some parents that cannot support that type of coverage for their students to participate in athletics. This particular coverage covers any accident-related activity, traveling to and from a sponsored activity. We have had coverage to the school district by the incumbent Texas Insurance Services over the last 10 to 12 years, and we have enjoyed a very good relationship. I will point your attention to the third page on there where it says loss run reports. And basically what it boils down to, and bringing your attention, of course, we're in the process of going out and soliciting health insurance benefits right now. This type of coverage, of course, also has to deal with the relationship of cost is directly related to your lost experience. As you can see, in 2012, we experienced $78,000 worth of claims. 2013, 130,000. 214, 15, 202,000, and this year, as of 6/1, we had $208,000 in losses. On the bottom portion of that, you see the premium that we paid, and of course, insurance companies are in the business to make money. So whenever you experience these type of losses, and these type of losses, of course, are claims utilization. The other thing I'd like to point out, and I was trying to get a hold of some other data, but I wasn't able to on a timely basis to bring it before the board. We have also increased our participation of athletes in many more activities, of course, when we brought on Kano Academy, that really brought on a lot more participation. The more participation, the more frequency you have, the higher event that you're going to have for a potential injury. Studying the two proposals that were presented before the board, we have the incumbent Texas Insurance Associates through the brokerage house out of San Antonio that bid the renewal rate at $264,500.
You're back on page 1.
I'm sorry, sir. Yes, sir. I'm on page 1. That pretty well reflects what their losses have been because they have been the incumbent for the last several years, as I mentioned. That basically reflects what they need to recover in order to stay in business, if you will, and what the district has experienced. They offer two alternate plans that I felt met what our specifications call for. And we have the Alamo Insurance Group out of San Antonio that also bid a Premier Plus plan that also met every element of the specifications. One of the most important elements here is that we call for a zero balance billing network, which basically means that if our students utilize a network provider, there is zero balance billing to the parents. There is no obligation on the parent, on behalf of the parent. Now, the other thing that comes into play is the fact that quite a few parents do have insurance coverage. That coverage is primary. So when that coverage is primary, as we've experienced, there is a deductible to be experienced by the parent. So you take your child to a network provider, you have coverage, it's primary, and then there's deductibles and co-pays to be experienced by the parent. This coverage is secondary and takes up that slack, if you will. That's why the limits of the line items that you see on the second and third page are critical for us to consider. Basically, in consideration of all the networks that were provided, the evaluations that we did, including calling doctors to verify their participation in the networks, to verify that the list of prime providers to the district for these type of services were on the networks. We got very positive confirmations. We then asked for a best and final offer, which you will see where it says negotiated final offers on page 1. They were able to better their numbers. Still, Alamo Insurance Group, for the services that we requested at $214,047, we feel best serves the interest of the district, and we would like to make that our recommendation for award. This award also entails the award of what is called voluntary student insurance, which means that parents can, whether the child participates or not in any sports activities, can elect to insure their child through a voluntary enrollment program. I'd be happy to answer any
Thank you,
questions.
So
Mr.
one of the things, if I might add, is we did discuss this at our budget workshop, and there's an increase to our budget. We currently pay about $140,000 per student athletic insurance. It's gonna go up to $214,000, so we have incorporated that into our budget. Again, this company is an A-rated company. We feel the company is strong and will benefit our students.
Thank you. Questions?
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
I have a couple questions. So, as I understand it, then if the family has their own insurance and they've got a $3,500 deductible and their kid incurs a knee injury and has to have surgery, then they will pick up the $3,500?
Not the 3,500, but up to the limit. On the second page,
Yeah, what are the limits? I'm sorry if I missed.
no,
it.
that's okay, sir, of course. If you go back to the third page, basically it looks like this. There is a schedule. Now, you have to understand, this overall service is $25,000 max coverage. Okay? And there is a schedule of benefits by line item, such as hospital stay.
So let me stop you just, so all the companies, one of the criteria was we had a maximum limit of coverage of 25,000.
Right, yes, sir.
All the companies.
This is pretty much standard
Standard in
throughout
the
the
industry.
United States. for
Okay,
this type
go
of
ahead, I'm
service.
sorry.
Yes.
So what were the line items you were talking about? So
Well, like for
hospital-
instance, in the very first line item where we have hospitalization.
You're on page 4.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't number the pages. I
Okay, I'm sorry.
totally apologize.
So-
Where you have maximum hospital miscellaneous services, all charges except room and board. The very first line item where it talks about the room and board, it tells you what that limit would be. And basically, the one we're recommending says it'll cover a semi-private room. The second one, the miscellaneous hospital charges, it covers 100% of usual customary up to $750 the first day, $250 thereafter, up to a maximum of $5,000. Now, if I have insurance and I take my child to a network doctor, this policy doesn't come into play until my policy has paid all the bills that they are required to pay. But this policy then will come in and pay up to the limits of what might be owed or balance in deductibles and copays.
If you use a network doctor.
If you use the network doctor, yes, sir.
So it's sort of like a gap insurance, if you will.
Basically, it could be viewed as that, yeah.
So again, if they use the network doctors, they still won't pick up the deductible on my private insurance?
No, well, not necessarily. It depends on what your deductible is. If your deductible is under the limit, it will pick it up. If
Where's
it's
the
over the
limit?
limit,
On Alamo, where's the limit on the deductible?
well, the deductible is by line item. It's specific by line item.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, you have like intensive care, you have hospital miscellaneous, decisions non-surgical, which means when you go to see the doctor, what it normally pays. You have physical therapy, which is one of the most vital coverages.
Also, the 1 through 8 are the line items. That's what you're saying.
Well, actually, it's 1 through, and the next page.
So let's take physical therapy, because a lot of these athletes have to go, that's pretty common for physical therapy for a month or 3 weeks, what have you. So what is the limit on that? If the parents have primary insurance and they've got a $3,500 deductible, which is pretty common today, or $3,000, what will they pick up of that?
For physical therapy, if you take your child to the network provider,
Correct.
they have accepted this coverage limit, and that's $40 per therapy session.
Yeah, it's like a copay. It's a per session deal. Like,
Okay.
So.
So regardless of your deductible, they'll pay you
Yeah, I mean,
$40
it's
a
like when you
visit.
visit a specialist versus a primary doctor versus physical therapy. It's like a per session charge. Your copay.
And is there a
considered.
cap on that?
Well, it's the $40 per day.
I know, but.
Yes,
or
sir,
how
there
many-
is a
how
cap.
many
I'm
days?
sorry, I apologize.
I mean, physical therapy is on the second page, number 10.
I'm sorry, this is, to me,
Maximum 500.
you're on page 2?
Yes, sir, the physical therapy would be,
Yeah, $50
and we addressed this
a
specific
visit.
concern because our trainers brought this particular item to,
$50 a
um,
visit.
to light.
After 20
Maximum
visits.
750.
Tony, how many other districts?
$750
Number 10.
total for physical therapy allocation is what the limit is. And that's on a $40 per session.
And that was the best from all the companies you received?
That's correct, sir.
Tony, how many other districts does this company have?
In the state of Texas, probably 200.
They have any in the
No,
valley?
I don't, I'm sure
Yeah,
you picked the
sure.
best one of the group. I'm not challenging that or questioning that at all. I'm just curious about having a kid that was, and knowing a
Right.
lot of kids that are in sports and injuries they have. I mean, honestly, $750, I mean, if that's the best we got, that's the best we got. What, I know insurance is expensive, and it's a luxury today than it is, but it's a necessity for these kids. And $750 doesn't go very far, I can tell
Well,
you.
but
On
again, just a
therapy.
reminder that this is in addition to what they have. I mean, they're.
Right, but there's a lot of families that don't have any insurance. I mean,
But
And then it
that's-
would cover it 100%, sir.
they'd cover 100.
Yes, sir.
More than 750.
Pardon?
Up to 750.
Up to 750,
On the
right.
therapy,
All
right.
Now,
Well, I
if-
understand.
Remember that there's another policy on top of this policy, which is recognized as our catastrophic policy. And that would be up to a limit of $6 million. Once you've met that $25,000 cap, then catastrophic takes over. And that would be for serious injuries. We've had a few in the valley in the past with neck injuries that
Yeah.
disable the child. This coverage also covers loss of limb. There is a,
Brain injury. thing.
Sure.
right.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I guess I mean, this is a, in the, I guess in the arena of maybe Dr. Perez and Dr. Munoz, is this something that y'all see all the time? I mean,
Yeah,
what's y'all's thinking on this?
I mean, first of all, I think a lot of districts, go back to the Julia's question, I think this fares better than what most districts offer in terms of their,
This is
would you fair to say, is that, I mean,
upgrade
and
what
if
we
you,
have.
if
Well,
you, if you
let-
look at
let me answer-
Westlaco or Brownsville, or do they have similar?
Brownsville uses this particular policy.
The
that
same
we
one?
recommend.
Okay.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
the same identical one. But let me just make a comment here, and it's at the wishes of the board. Westco ISD last year paid $750,000 because the board so wished that none of the kids have lingering bills to the parents. The year before that, they paid $1.1 million. Again, it's based on losses and the type of coverage that you want to offer the child. When we really detailed and covered this thing extensively years ago, the board was very insistent that we wanted to encourage participation, especially by the children that didn't have any coverage. And so this policy basically addresses that concern.
need.
And there is a zero balance bill to the child, because if he suffers a catastrophic injury and he maxes out his coverage, and the coverage is gonna be zero balance billing to the parent, then that $6 million policy, catastrophic policy takes over.
No, I think it's great, and I noticed here that, it's the only company that's A+ rated with Best.
Yeah.
Which is good. I see the premiums are a little higher. Just one last question. I'm all in favor of this, your recommendation. I like it based on what I see here. What were the elements that you liked that this company provided that the others didn't? If there was one or two things?
Basically, it came down to cost, and cost for the comparative services that we requested. Now, Texas Insurance Company, with their Texas Value Plan, they provided a tremendous service to this district. That we have a local agent here in town that has been on top of every problem, issue, concern that we've had with parents or trainers. And we've utilized them, like I said, for the last 10 to 12 years. Their plan covers and provides for everything. Basically, right now, the reason we're recommending this particular plan is the 214,000 versus the 255,000 for what we consider to be apples to apples comparison.
214,000 to what now?
To 255.
Where are we at?
First
If you go
page.
back to page 1, sir.
Page 1.
And did the other company,
Negotiated final offer.
did they offer the zero balance?
That's correct.
They did?
Yes, it is a zero balance.
No, on the other company, the 255.
Yes, sir. They're both identical policy.
Gotcha.
Now, it's-
Sometimes insurance companies have, as we've experienced, that have had the
that's a
district,
big difference.
have losses that they need to recoup for future. And so this is where we have a dilemma with this particular carrier, Texas Insurance, the agent and the carrier, that they've experienced losses over the last 3
Oh, yeah,
years
so
that
they
they
trying
feel
to
they need
recoup
to
it.
recoup.
Yeah.
So their surety company, when they do their actuarials,
Yeah.
will not allow them to cut the figures anymore, even though
Right.
they did offer us a best and final offer to
It-
discount them.
Is this policy for 1 year?
Yes, sir, this is a
Okay.
one-year policy.
So, let me just follow up here. So, the final negotiated offer with Texas Insurance Service on their main plan was 255?
Yeah.
That's an annual premium?
That's the renewal.
Renewal
Yes, sir.
premium?
That's the policy that renews at 255.
And that policy doesn't really provide us any more benefits or better benefits than the 214 that Alamo does?
That is correct, sir.
It's apples to apples all the way down the list?
That's absolutely correct.
Because, I mean, I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
when it comes to this, if we spend 15, 20, or $30,000 more and it gets kids more coverage and more benefits, I'm for it. But if
If
we're
it's-
apples to apples, then I think this, I agree.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion, Mr. Powers?
Had a motion.
Yeah, it's a motion.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second the motion.
I
Thank you,
think y'all
Dr.
want me to
Pettis.
move on.
Are there any further questions or discussion?
Madam President, if I just may, I think it would help, Mr. Garcia, and I don't know if you have this information or if Mr. Cavasso, or somebody has this. I think it would help the board to know what have been the out-of-cost expenses in the past to our student athletes and their families. And if we had that, I mean, I don't know that we're ever going to move in a direction like Westlake Ho, where you said, I mean, those are some pretty big numbers you mentioned in terms of their paying, out of, but what have been, because I think it would be helpful to know if we have a little history here in terms of some of our athletes having to actually pay out of pocket their families and that kind of stuff. And I
Right.
think
Yeah.
that information would be very helpful. I don't know what we do with it, but I think the information would be very helpful, at least as we go forward, thinking about what else we could do to help defray those costs. But again, it's just just a question, and I don't know how you track that, but I'm thinking that because I'm thinking about our South football program and how it's ballooned in its size. I mean, we're going to have, as you said
Yeah, a lot
earlier,
more.
we're going to have a lot more athletes, on the football fields, et cetera.
We can certainly talk to our existing agent and see if he can provide us some information.
Well,
If
we do
need.
have, and we have provided some information for you on the last sheet, second sheet. And basically where it says loss run reports, if you look at
Oh,
that,
sure.
it says total paid by parent insurance. Now, that's all we know, but we don't know how much of it was actually out of pocket.
I got you. So we don't,
That's their,
I got
it's all
you.
protected by.
Right.
Yep.
I agree with Dr. Pettis. And the other thing we want to make sure of is, and this is something that Coach Creeders as AD, educate parents about in-network and out-of-network. That's a big thing because parents
Yeah.
really don't know.
well, and then,
And-
George, it's a good point because unfortunately they don't find out till after the fact.
It's too
They're like,
late.
oh, I heard this guy's great, let's go. And then they're off to Houston. And they have no clue that a lot of that's gonna be out of their
Exactly.
pocket, you know what I mean? And so there's a little bit of coaching up there, if you will, that's in order for some of the parents so that they can properly utilize the plans they have.
Right.
And if I might just add a last note, that one of the luxuries that we've experienced with the staffing that is done at the high schools with our trainers has proven to be a tremendous cost advantage to the district when it comes to this. We as a 6A school district probably, and I'm sorry I didn't provide that for you, but we probably do have the lowest rate, even from San Benito. San Benito's rate was 365,000. Wow. Like I said, Wesco was about 650 to 700,000. Pardon? That's our cost for these coverages.
They're paying a lot.
And, you know, a lot of that cost is relative to, you know, Brownsville is over $1 million.
And again, we owe a lot to our trainers that keep those costs down for us, and,
Right.
and, you know, it's an increase to our budget, but, you know, it's not like some of these other school districts are paying annually, so we're comfortable with the $214,000.
And it's not because we're just telling them to rub some dirt on it, right?
That's correct.
And also, yeah, and the whirlpools they have to work with sometimes.
Did you
Okay,
say
we had a
you
motion.
had the information as
Excuse me,
far
Madam-
as how much student athlete participation has increased?
Yes, sir, that's directly from the surety company that insures the broker that provides.
No, the number of students that we actually have participating in athletics.
That was one of the numbers that I was
We can probably get
wanting.
that information for you
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah.
I know that participation, according to Mr. Peters in
Oh, yeah,
conversation
it's
with him,
going up
we
tremendously.
probably have a 30 to 40% increase in participation.
Madam
Okay,
President,
yes,
real quick
sir. Do
comment.
it.
Just, I
Yeah.
think, you know, being an athletic football player in high school, I remember back in the day, we didn't have much coverage at all. So the fact that we're actually moving forward and
That's right.
progressing is awesome. I think that we should in the future actually consider even going higher, potentially getting more coverage.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
if we do have a lot of parents out there that can't afford, and even with what we call Obamacare, you know,
Yeah.
still people,
Yeah.
there are still gaps missing. So I think that we should definitely look at this in the future to make sure that we provide the help, as much help as we can for parents.
Thank you.
very much for all you do.
Yeah, thank you. And Mr. Powers, you made the motion. Did we
Yes.
have a second for the
And
motion?
second,
Yeah, I
Dr.
second
Pettis.
it.
Dr. Pettis, that's correct, yes, yeah. Okay, any further discussion? Now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
thank you, Mr. Grassi. I'm thanks for putting up with me, but I really, you did a great job, and this is real important, and I think you all thoroughly invested. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Well, we do have very knowledgeable people here, that is certainly for sure. Okay, now, agenda item number 10, matters relating to district operations, and for this, we move to Oscar Tapia, please.
Thank you, Madam
Facilities
President.
Committee report.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cavazos. We had a Facilities Committee meeting on July 5th. We just started off with school bond projects. We discussed the progress on the aquatic center and still some of the items that are still pending that they're working on. We discussed the award of the memorial repurpose building. They're working on getting their contracts and insurances in so we can get a building permit and issue a notice to proceed. So we're close to starting that project. On the TRE projects, we went over the elementary school security cameras. They have started that project. They're about 20% complete at this time. And hopefully we'll be able to get the majority of the elementaries finished before school starts, if not all of them. The athletic track repairs at the middle schools, re-roofing at Travis, Zavala, AC upgrades at Harlingen High School, Lamar and Milam, and lighting upgrades. They're all in the design phase. We reported on those projects. They're about 50% in the design phase. And we went over some smaller TRE projects with the Form 3 principles requests that we discussed. And Julio Cavazos presented construction funds and other project financial reports in the meeting. And that's all I have at this time. I'll turn it over to Mr. Powers, our facilities chair.
Mr. Bowers.
The only thing I'd like to add is that there was a very good and positive progress on the aquatic center. Sounds like we're getting really close to closing the door on all the problems, and with the people that came down from Canada or wherever, that was a very has there been any development since we talked, or is it about the same?
It's about the same. We had the two Dectron units working really good, but I think one of them still has a small freon leak that they're trying to detect, but it's minor. They're trying to track it down, working with the company out of Canada. And this week they're supposed to start with that roof repair and the glass repair up on that water leak issue.
Well, everything looks fine. I mean, I drove by it today, and it really, the new lettering and everything looks great, so good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And at this time, agenda item number 11 is adjournment to closed or executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.082, the Open Meetings Act, for the following purposes. A, consultation with legal counsel regarding status of civil action number B, 16 CV 058 in the U.S. District Court, Southwest District. Discuss employment of coordinator for program evaluation and assessment. Discuss employment of teachers and other professional staff. At this time, it is 7:50. What time is it? 7:56. We are now in executive session. It is now 9:12. Item 12A, consider employment of coordinator for program evaluation and assessment. What is the pleasure of the board?
I move approval of the employment of coordinator for program evaluation assessment as recommended by the administration.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 12B, consider employment of teachers and other professional staff. What is the pleasure of the board?
I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
Very
Yeah, fine.